Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle, Ali. And today I would like to decipher the recent tragic shooting in Texas. We pray within and we work without for all of the victims of the senseless violence. But I would like to give some advice, if you will, on security. Specifically for, I'm a member of the Nation of Islam, for the Nation of Islam in particular, but the universe in general. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the first law of nature is self-preservation. When it comes to security, and even though I'm a minister now, I used to serve as the Uvalde Sharif or the captain of security. I served as a member of the FOI, the Fruit of Islam, the paramilitary of the Holy Nation of Islam. So I'm familiar with security, if you will. I wrote numerous books on security. I wrote the FOIMGT Security Guide 30 years ago, for example. And I've been in numerous battles, seen life and death situations, And one of the things that struck me about the spat of school shootings in particular is the lack of security, if you will. And it made me wonder, those of us that have private schools or charter schools or 501c3 nonprofit schools, we have to have security for our future. And basically, in this day and age, the technology is more advanced. And it's intriguing to me how security protocols prevented mass shootings in other places. Like, say, if somebody had a trap house, for example. In the dead world, you got hustlers. But like, you go in the house and you see the giant TV screen, and you see the configuration of that security screen. It's like, okay, they can see the roof, the backyard, the front of the house. You got doorbells that you can see a block down the street. It's not expensive. We're talking security systems that cost $200 to say $10,000. There's professional, more sophisticated ones. I'm just talking about some basic stuff. Even if you're in the devil's prison system, a prison system, like I would say 20, 30 years ago, is structured to prevent a mass shooting. If a prisoner gets a gun smuggled in there, which I have seen, if someone gets the guard gun, or the rifle, or the assault rifle from the tower guard. These type of situations, they have real practical, affordable, but pretty effective ways to reduce and eliminate that threat. And one of the things is, you can't have situations where you hear a shooting and the police is outside that school, and their position is, we got to wait for backup. It's like, huh? You hear the shooting, meaning, someone's shot in the stomach. The stomach is not a mortal shot. You get shot in the stomach, it don't kill you. You don't die because you got shot in the stomach. That's not a vital area. You have a T area, but the stomach is not part of that. So if I got shot in my stomach, now I mean, and I got a gun, I could still shoot you. But if I got shot in the stomach, I can bleed, but I could bleed out and die from a loss of blood. You can shoot my arm and shoot my whole arm off. My body's still cool. I got a gun. I can still shoot. You got soldiers that get that leg shot off and they hopping around one leg still rumbling. I mean, so you got to understand the protocols about life and death when it comes to security. Now, I mean, the first law of defense is a good offense. So having the schools, sad to say, structured like the penitentiaries, like the private prisons, the county jails, the state prisons, the federal prisons. Now, I mean, in the Bible, it teaches us that heaven has a security wall. It has 7 gates with 7 angels. They armed, they got swords, they strapped, they got the S word, the secret word. Now, I mean, arm, a leg, an arm, a head. They have God, they have Allah right there to protect the inhabitants of that particular place. The Quran teaches the same thing, just in a different way. The Quran teaches that there's 7 gates to heaven and there's 7 gates to hell. There's security to heaven, security to hell. Because there's no mystery God that's going to protect our women and our children and our elders. Now, I mean, we have to be more affirmative and taking proactive steps. Now, there's a myth that's been taught 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago in the Nation of Islam about guns. Now, I mean, and the basic scheme is structured like this. The Nation of Islam does not believe in weapons. The Nation of Islam does not believe in arms. The Nation of Islam does not carry guns. Now, I mean, of course, history, disproves this myth. But the proper analysis of what Master Fard Muhammad and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us shows something contrary to popular belief. What Master Fard Muhammad and Honorable Elijah Muhammad really taught was, we're not to track mud in the house. We're not to walk around with weapons, trying to act like we're armed police or we're armed militia. However, when it comes to guns, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's position was, now, regarding arms, talking about guns, this is the messenger teaching. The messenger said to us, now, as far as having a gun in your house, as far as having a gun in your house, as far as having a gun to protect your family, to protect your property, that's perfectly permissible in Islam. That's perfectly permissible according to Messenger Elijah Muhammad's original divine direct teachings. This spooky stuff you're talking about is going to get us killed. This is America. I, as a minister, can't wait. I pray and fast and work towards the day when we're able to transform society. I'm talking about the whole world, where we can get rid of institutionalized racism, hatred, violence, addictions, all that kind of stuff. But the prophecies tell us that outside that wall was the warlocks, the wizards, the witches, the pharmacies, or the drug dealers, the guns, the crazy stuff. But inside there's peace, but you have to have your security to maintain that peace, because we live in a universe of polarity. Yakub's law of opposites attract and like repels. If you take a rock from the North Pole that's full of iron ore and a rock from the South Pole, now I mean, you got what we call lodestones. Now I mean, in the hood we'll call them magnets. Now I mean, and you got two pieces of magnet. Dr. Yaqub Malik Shabazz, he was playing with two pieces of steel one time when he was just 6 years old. He noticed the magnetic attraction. Now this iron ore that he's playing with is mixed with carbon, so he's playing with steel. Now I mean, and he noticed that when you have the North and the North, they repel. They push against each other like, we don't come together, ain't no unity jumping off. Know what I mean? But if you turn one around, either one, it makes no difference. There's a natural attraction. They stick together. Know what I mean? Because opposites attract and like repels. This is the universal order of things. Know what I mean? You know, it's like if all the birds are black and you see a white bird, they gonna look like, huh? That's different. Know what I mean? If you're eating a whole bunch of salty stuff, you taste something like honeysuckle or something sweet, like, what's that? Your brain is going to instantly be attracted. Now I mean, if you're sane and then you get drunk, you get high. Now I mean, your brain, your endorphins is going to react differently because you experiment with high explosives symbolically. Now I mean, so in nature, the messenger teaches us in order to understand how we should live, we should study the universal laws of life, the universal order of things. Anything that's not operating in accord with the universal order of things is operating as chaos. Now, I mean, there's crime on earth. But the problem in the hood is there's not crime because it's crime in every hood. The problem is there's disorganized crime in the hood. Now, I mean, you know, we got people on the corner selling drugs, people just shooting at each other, doing whatever. Now I mean, and that's where the vanguard comes in. That's where we need those angels. That's where we need those FOIs and MGTs. We need that security system. Now I mean, so you want to be able to protect yourself, protect your property. Now I mean, but you should not walk around, you know, you got your 40 cal on your hip, you know what I mean, you got your assault rifles and all this other stuff. And speaking towards that, we want to be mindful. I'm in Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania has a state constitution. Every state has its own constitution. When they formed the republic, they had their 13 colonies, if you will. Each colony had its own security system built into its own colony, its own mission statement, its own bylaws, or its own constitution. Now I mean, or supreme law of their land. Ours in the Nation of Islam is restricted laws of Islam. We obey Allah, we obey His messenger. So as a minister, you can't obey me if I'm disobeying Master Muhammad and Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You have to be like, Alif, I agree with you on this part, but that part right there, I gotta disagree with you on. You're going that way, I got to go that way, the opposite way on that. Because you're going against what Master Muhammad, the messenger, prescribed. But if I'm telling you that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you can have a gun in your home to protect your family with, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm basically quoting him at the same time, and you know, inshallah, Sakeen, if it's the will of God in person, I'll put the actual quote on the screen so you can see it. Because a lot of people going to be like, I ain't the messenger teachers. It's like, come on. You know what I mean? You know, we can't have a piece of the puzzle and think that we see the whole picture. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate. That's what's been going on for a long time in various branches of the Nation of Islam. We're not looking at the whole picture. You know what I mean? And, you know, back to the premise on the security, you know what I mean? Why can't school systems utilize the technology that drug dealers use, that banks use, that prison guard? If the guard is in the booth, the guard's sitting in this booth, all right? And he got his little monitors, he got the TV screen, security apparatus is set up. He's able to see if a prisoner is on the block, if he's in the chow hall, if he's in the yard, or whatever. All on this one screen. I mean, cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? This is the new world. You know what I mean? You know, the Quran teaches us Satan, the devil and his associates see you from whence you see them not. They universal snoopers, the message said, the message to the black man in 1965. All right? So here you have a system of security. Now, those that's in Pennsylvania, those that been in the belly of the beast, that know the Camp Hill so-called riots and things of that nature there, you understand, like those that, you know, like been in the Supermax of Greene County, what have you, they have systems structured where if you got a active shooter trying to break somebody out of jail, hypothetically, like in California you had the George Jackson situation, you know what I mean? You know, when the courthouse, they, you know, took the judge and all them hostages, whatever. The security system in the prison system, when you're trying to get out or you're trying to get in, if you're trying to sneak out of school or you're trying to sneak into school, there's a security system there. You know what I mean? You know, and that system is designed to protect and preserve that which they have. So if you had an active shooter that got through gate 1, for example, I'm just using a hypothetical. Now, I mean, we have a military manual called Principles of Thought. Principles of Thought is a manual I wrote 30 years ago, and what we used to do is we'll hold classes or ciphers, and the FOIs, we would come together and we would raise hypothetical situations that's not real but could be real. You know what I mean? We like, oh, today's principle of thought is you just made parole, you're walking down the street and you see a gun under the car. What do? You know what I mean? There's no right or wrong answers. I'm not sitting here acting like I have the answers. I don't. I mean, it's just that by stimulating thought, what it does is it helps you psychologically, subconsciously, as well as consciously prepare for exigent circumstances or what we call emergency situations. Now, I mean, where, you know, sadly, you know, how Malcolm X got shot. Now, I mean, you know, it's like people jump out the chair, run out the chair. You know what I mean? People running, not realizing if somebody's shooting at you and the first thing you got is, if I spin this chair around, boom, tilt it down, it's like the chair's not going to save my life. The chair's going to help save my life. If I'm sitting on front rostrum post and I want to be relieved, or I see an active shooter, if I take that chair and throw the chair up and the bullet went through the chair and hit me, it may kill me. But if it hit the chair is going to slow down the velocity and the heat and intensity and the pressure of that bullet. So I may get hit, but I may live. I was shot when I was 13 years old. I used to be in North Philly. I grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? So it's a thing where you can get shot, you can shoot. All that's in the game. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, in the prison system, I noticed that when they see an emergency, they'll be in communication with everybody in that system. Now, we're talking thousands of people. Now, I mean, so a little school is like rookie stuff for a security detail, a real security detail. You know what I mean? They'll be like, you know what I mean? You know, like, they'll give whatever code they have. You know what I mean? I'm not getting into our security codes, but whatever security system they have in place. And, you know, they be like, ASG3. That means they got an active shooter at gate 3. ASG3, and all they do is push a button. And what happens if that shooter, like if you go to your mall, you'll notice like the mall has the front door, but you go over here and you buy some food, you go over here buy some sneakers, you go get your nails done, you go over here buy you some jeans. They can push a button and secure that building systematically. So now the shooter be like, okay, I got my gun, it's people all in the mall, I'm gonna shoot up this mall, but from them gates coming down, they like, man, I'm stuck on this one little side, I can't get through the other side. So the people over here is now secure, where in a school situation, if a security guard pushed the emergency button, all the school doors are locked, the bathrooms are locked, the cafeteria gate comes down, the classroom doors is bulletproof, they shut and they lock. So now you're not going to save everybody, but you're going to reduce death and injury. You're going to limit and restrict and slow down and hinder an active shooter that's coming through that school trying to do some, or active shooters. It could be more than one for all you know. So what you're doing is you're taking and you're using what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in the theology of time. We build with a fraction before we build with the whole. So you're taking a fraction and you're finding a common denominator, and you're building up to that whole number. Islam is mathematics, and mathematics is Islam. So in that situation, your thing is like, okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is push this button, and I'm gonna reduce his movement from 100% to now he only got 15% movement. I'm gonna remove where he had access to shoot 100 students, now he only has access to 10 students, 15 students. You're not able to save everybody, but you're able to save others. And that's all security. Real security is, because security is psychological. Anybody could be touched. The Pope of Rome was shot. President Reagan was shot. I was shot. I shot before. So anybody can get shot, get wounded, get killed. That's just the nature of the universe. But at the same time, the first law of nature is self-preservation. What affirmative steps are we taking to make sure this doesn't happen? Now, there's a lot of political rhetoric going on, but at the end of the day, whatever stuff they're going to pass is going to be mediocre at best. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, so I'm not choosing any side. When I do vote, I vote as an independent, if I vote, And President Biden, to me, was better than, Trump when he was in there, but I didn't vote for Biden like he's Jesus or he's the Messiah. I didn't think Obama was going to be my savior or anything like that. I like Bernie, but I don't think Bernie was some savior. But you vote your conscience, you vote what's in your best interest. But you can't misinterpret and misunderstand the real issue here. The real issue here is we're in the United States of America. Places like Britain or New Zealand, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that in the judgment, when hell erupts, we should flee to New Zealand, the farthest part of the East. And, the leadership in New Zealand got rid of their guns, their assault rifles anyway, because anything could be a weapon. Now, a soldier understands that helps. Realistically, it's not going to save everybody, but that realistically does help. Say they got rid of all the assault rifles. I'm a soldier. You got people that know how to make assault rifles out of the pipes underneath a sink. So it's not going to be a fail-proof system. But as the Bible teaches us, when we say peace, 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 and we're still reaching for the sword, we're not really trying to get to peace. There has to come a time where we beat our weapons into tools or plowshares. We have to transform that way of thinking of Yakub, where we're playing with steel. We think that everything is about these skyscrapers to the sky, these guns, these cars, these submarines, these bullets, all this steel, misuse of steel, is feeding capitalism. It's a lot of money in that crap. Know what I mean? So people don't want to give up guns. Politically, they like the Republicans stormed the Capitol. Like, keep in mind, in this country, historically, when we was in slavery, the British stormed the Capitol, got in, burnt it down to the ground. They had guns. They didn't want Americans to be armed. They didn't want Americans to have the military power and the financial power and the guns and bullets that they need from France and other places. So it's a lot of politics in that, where Americans know history. Their thing is like, listen, King George, we got caught without guns before. Now, I mean, as the descendant of slaves, I understand that the compass, the gunpowder from China, the bullets that they had, now, I mean, it gave the colonizer superior firing power than us with swords and shields and spears and things of that nature there. So we were in a defenseless position when it came to that technology. The Egyptians and the Hyksos, people in China, you name it. Now, I mean, every nation knows that science. So understanding that science, the supreme law of America, the supreme law of the land, spiritually is that Holy Bible. But the law of the land, politically, is the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution trumps, and I don't mean trumps, like Donald Trump. I'm saying trumps in the sense of all other ideas, laws, rules, regulations, ordinances, or whatever. I live in the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is 150 miles from north to south, 300 miles from east to west. That's 45,000 square miles of land. It's Penn's Woods land. This is what they call a cradle of democracy. Pennsylvania. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is where Wall Street started. Before Wall Street went to New York, it was in Philadelphia. All right? Philadelphia has 12 letters, and Pennsylvania had 12 letters. The Bible teaches us about New Jerusalem and how it has this number 12 rooted as the foundation. The 12 tribes, the 12 foundations, the 12 precious stones, you name it. Now, I mean, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Muhammad considered this to be the top of the clock. Temple number 12, or Muhammad's Mosque number 12, under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or Jeremiah Shabazz, or Brother Mutaquan Ali, the Honorable Brother Minister Salis Muhammad. No matter what branch of the Nation of Islam, the message teaches us the trunk of the tree or the messenger teaches is stronger than any of his branches. I don't care what minister you may follow. I'm non-denominational. My thing is, whatever branch of the Nation of Islam, there's only one sun, moon, and star for our earth. Now, I mean, there's only one Nation of Islam. There's all kind of fruit. Now, I mean, you got apples, oranges, cherries, pears. Bananas can't grow in Philly. We don't grow mangoes there. We can't grow coconuts there. Now, I mean, but certain fruits do thrive there. Now, I mean, apples, pears, cherries, what have you. Now, I mean, it's all kind of flowers. It's all kind of MGTs. Now, I mean, some sweet, some sour, some bitter. Now, I mean, some are ripe, some ain't ripe yet. Now, I mean, but that don't mean that we're not fruit and flowers. That don't mean we're not brothers and sisters. That don't mean we're not family just because, you don't call your cousin, I mean, or this uncle or this aunt. Now, I mean, sometimes you have distant relationships. But I love my whole family. I mean, but the struggle continues. You know what I mean? So when you have a system like that in the United States of America, they have a state constitution. The state constitution of Pennsylvania, when it comes to guns, is stronger than the supreme law of the land. Think about that for a moment. You look at the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment, and the Supreme Court case law that goes with that. You shepherdize the cases, what have you. On the state level, Pennsylvania language when it comes to having the guns and to being able to form a militia, or basically what the messenger said, you can have a gun to protect your family with. Pennsylvania thing is like, listen, our right to have guns in Pennsylvania can't even be questioned. Don't even ask, don't even talk about that crap. They basically saying they ain't giving up their guns. Now, I mean, you know, the Germans came over here, formed Germantown, which was, you know, an integrated part of Philadelphia. I mean, they had free slaves. You had people against the slaves. Now, I mean, you had people with guns, people without guns. But the state of Pennsylvania as a whole basically has a structure where the right to bear arms shall not even be questioned. Now, I mean, that means that a serial killer, a gangster, if they came home from the penitentiary, came home from the feds, and they wanted to get a gun, it's not illegal for them to get a gun in Pennsylvania. The law is basically they have to get with the mayor, there has to be a town hall meeting. It's all this, you know, real strict stuff but I'm 57 years old. I realistically look at it like they ain't gonna give me no guns. They ain't gonna give a whole bunch of people guns. But it's not impossible for you to get some guns, regardless of what happened when you was, you know, gang banging or whatever. Now, I mean, in the streets, mentally dead, whatever. Now, I mean, because the law of the land is, they look at that as a right that's as American as apple pie. Now, I mean, you know.